Some vegetables sold in UK supermarkets are treated and stored using methods most shoppers are never told about. And those methods involve chemical processes designed to keep produce looking fresh long after its natural state has changed. We examined the supply chains behind Britain's biggest grocery stores, from industrial storage to distribution practices. What we found changes how you see the vegetable aisle completely. And it does not start in remote warehouses or foreign farms. It starts in the stores you trust most for fresh basics. 5. Tesco Express, Sainsbury's Local. Walk into any Tesco Express or Sainsbury's Local, and you will find a small vegetable section tucked near the entrance. A handful of pre-packed salads, some bagged carrots, a tray of tomatoes, maybe a few loose onions. It looks adequate. It feels convenient. But what you are actually looking at is produce that has already been sitting in the supply chain far longer than you realise. Convenience format stores are not built for freshness. They are built for speed, for turnover, for grabbing a sandwich on your lunch break or picking up milk on your way home. The vegetable section is an afterthought, not a priority. These smaller stores receive fewer deliveries than their larger counterparts. They have limited backroom space, which means stock cannot be rotated as efficiently. And because footfall is lower and vegetable purchases are sporadic, produce often sits on shelves for days before anyone buys it. The result is vegetables that are already several days old by the time you put them in your basket. Carrots that feel slightly soft to the touch. Lettuce leaves that look tired around the edges. Peppers with subtle wrinkling you might not notice under the store lighting, but which become obvious once you get home. A recent Which survey found that 43% of shoppers had noticed a decline in food quality at Tesco, with fresh produce frequently cited as a problem area. Sainsbury's fared similarly, with 42% reporting quality concerns. Consumer reviews repeatedly mention short expiration dates in vegetables that spoil within days of purchase. The issue is structural. These stores are optimized for packaged goods, chilled meals, and impulse buys. Fresh vegetables require careful temperature control, frequent restocking, and rapid turnover. Convenience stores simply cannot deliver that. The backroom is tiny. The delivery schedule is limited. Think about it this way. A carrot purchased from Tesco Extra on Monday might have arrived at that store on Sunday. The same carrot, diverted to Tesco Express, might not reach shelves until Wednesday. By the time you buy it on Thursday, it has already lost days of usable life. If the store is built for speed, not freshness, so is the produce inside it. And here is where it gets worse. 4. Asda Superstores. Asda moves enormous quantities of vegetables through its network every single day. Massive, centralised distribution centres, long-distance transport routes, and bulk purchasing agreements that prioritise cost efficiency above almost everything else. On paper, it sounds impressive. In practice, it means your vegetables have been on quite a journey before they ever reach the shelf. The Asda supply chain is designed around centralisation. Produce arrives at regional distribution hubs, where it is sorted, stored, and eventually dispatched to individual stores. This system works brilliantly for shelf-stable products, tinned goods, and frozen items. But for fresh vegetables, every extra hour in the chain is an hour of declining quality. Vegetables are living things. The moment they are harvested, they begin to deteriorate. Moisture escapes, sugars convert to starches, cell walls break down. The longer the gap between field and fork, the less flavour, texture, and nutritional value remains. Asda's centralised model stretches that gap wider than most consumers realise. Consumer feedback paints a consistent picture. Asda vegetable quality varies dramatically between stores and delivery slots. Leafy greens wilt within days. Root vegetables show signs of age upon purchase. The produce looks acceptable under the bright, carefully positioned store lighting, but once you get it home and examine it properly, the flaws become visible. Soft spots on potatoes, carrots that feel rubbery, peppers that have lost their crispness. Bulk stacking compounds the problem. Vegetables piled high in display bins may look abundant, but the weight and pressure damages the produce at the bottom. Bruised tomatoes, squashed courgettes, crushed salad leaves. You cannot see the damage until you unpack your shopping at home. And here is what really matters. Even if the vegetables look fine, the taste is often disappointing. Long supply chains mean produce is picked earlier, before peak ripeness, to survive transport. Flavour is sacrificed for durability. You end up with tomatoes that look the part but taste like nothing at all. When volume is the priority, freshness becomes the casualty. Here is what the system does not want you to understand. The journey from farm to Asda shelf can take longer than the remaining shelf life you get at home. But keep watching, because the next store on our list takes this even further. 3. Morrisons large format stores. Morrisons has built its reputation on the Market Street concept. Those impressive produce displays with theatrical misting systems, beautiful arrangements of fruit and vegetables, and signage that emphasises freshness at every turn. It looks wonderful. It feels like a traditional greengrocer experience brought into a modern supermarket. But look closer, and the reality is rather different. Despite the marketing, many Morrisons branches rely heavily on centrally packed vegetables rather than genuine local sourcing. The produce arrives pre-packaged from distribution centres, not hand-selected from nearby farms. The misting systems and attractive displays are designed to create an atmosphere, not to indicate actual freshness. It is theatre, not substance. The pre-packing itself creates problems. Vegetables sealed in plastic trays and wrapped in film cannot breathe properly. Condensation builds up inside the packaging, creating a moist environment where bacteria thrive and decay accelerates. Those attractive-looking packs of mushrooms with water pooling at the bottom. The bags of carrots that feel slightly sweaty when you pick them up. The salad trays with droplets clinging to the inside of the film. All signs that the produce has been packaged for too long. Consumer reports consistently flag this issue. Reviews mention tomatoes that go mushy within days despite long display dates. Broccoli that browns faster than expected. Mushrooms with strange watery substances and unpleasant smells. Leeks that arrive brown and soft, barely fit for the compost heap, let alone the dinner table. Morrisons removed date labels from nearly 200 fruit and vegetable products in late 2022, claiming it would help reduce food waste. But critics pointed out a different motivation. Without clear dates, customers have no objective measure of freshness. They cannot tell whether that pack of peppers arrived yesterday or last week. The distribution system seems problematic across many branches. Vegetables frequently show signs of extended storage before reaching shelves. Smaller Morrisons stores suffer particularly badly, receiving less frequent deliveries. When the presentation is prioritised over the product, you pay the price at home. Staff members have confirmed that deliveries arrive pre-deteriorated, leeks that are brown before they reach the display. The system is not designed to catch these problems. It is designed to move volume. But if you think Morrisons has stretched the definition of fresh, wait until you see what the discount stores are doing. 2. Aldi. Aldi's business model is built on extreme efficiency. Limited product ranges, minimal staffing, rapid stock turnover, and supply chains optimised for cost above all else. It is a formula that has made Aldi one of the fastest growing retailers in Britain. But when it comes to fresh vegetables, that same efficiency creates problems that customers only discover after they get home. The first issue is supplier variety. Aldi works with a deliberately small number of suppliers to keep costs down and logistics simple. This means less flexibility, less redundancy, and less ability to source the freshest available produce on any given day. When your tomatoes come from one supplier and that supplier has a bad week, every Aldi in the country gets substandard tomatoes. There is no backup plan. The second issue is cultivar selection. The vegetables Aldi stocks are often bred specifically for transport durability, not for taste or longevity in your kitchen. These are varieties engineered to survive long journeys, withstand stacking and look presentable on arrival. But once they reach your fridge, they have already used up most of their staying power. The structural integrity that got them to the shelf does not translate into extended freshness at home. Consumer feedback is remarkably consistent on this point. Aldi produce goes bad quickly. Berries that need to be eaten the same day. Grapes that are soft within 48 hours. Carrots that arrive slightly sweaty and turn slimy before the week is out. Strawberries that sprout mould before your eyes. The initial bargain feeling evaporates when you realise half your purchase ended up in the bin. Store layout compounds the problem. Most Aldi stores position their produce sections near the front entrance, where doors open and close constantly. Research confirms that fluctuating temperatures directly accelerate vegetable deterioration. Every time that door swings open, your vegetables take another step toward decline. Aldi's efficiency works brilliantly, for tinned goods and household essentials. For fresh vegetables, it works against you. Customers report vegetables that look fine in the store, but reveal their true condition once home. The bright lighting masks soft spots and early wilting. By the time you see the problems clearly, you have already paid and driven home. And yet, Aldi is not even the worst offender on this list. 1. Lidl. Lidl occupies the same discount territory as Aldi, but pushes the model even further. Ultra-tight margins, aggressive pricing, rapid restocking cycles, and supply chains stretched to their absolute limits. The promise is simple: fresh produce at prices the major supermarkets cannot match. But the reality is vegetables that decline rapidly once purchased, leaving you questioning whether you saved any money at all. The logistics behind Lidl's vegetable operation are designed for one purpose: getting produce from source to shelf at minimum cost. This means longer transport routes, extended warehouse, holding times and sourcing decisions driven by price rather than proximity. Your vegetables might look fine under the store lighting, but they have already endured a journey that would exhaust any fresh product. Consumer complaints paint a consistent picture across the country. Lidl vegetables do not keep. Spinach wilts within days. Peppers soften almost immediately. Carrots sweat inside their plastic packaging and turn slimy before you can use them. The phrase false economy appears repeatedly in reviews. What seems cheap at point of purchase becomes expensive when half of it goes straight in the bin. The plastic packaging itself is part of the problem. Vegetables that sweat inside sealed bags are vegetables that are already deteriorating. The condensation you see pooling at the bottom of the pack is moisture escaping from the produce, a visible sign of declining freshness that Lidl's packaging actively conceals until you get home. Temperature control varies between stores. Some locations manage their produce sections well, others clearly struggle. But as a customer, you have no way of knowing which category your local Lidl falls into until you have already experienced the disappointment of spoiled vegetables multiple times. What makes Lidl particularly frustrating is the inconsistency. Some weeks the produce is acceptable. Other weeks it is already on its way out before you even buy it. You cannot plan meals reliably. You cannot trust that the vegetables you bought on Monday will still be usable by Wednesday. Every shopping trip becomes a gamble. And here is the core problem with ultra-discount grocery models. Fresh vegetables cannot be infinitely squeezed. There is a floor beneath which quality cannot be maintained. When margins are too tight, something has to give. At Lidl, what gives is the produce in your fridge. When the price looks too good to be true, it usually is. Lidl represents the logical endpoint of discount grocery economics applied to fresh produce. Every cost that can be cut has been cut. Every margin that can be squeezed has been squeezed. And the product that reaches your kitchen reflects those compromises in every wilted leaf and every softened pepper. The customers who suffer most are families on tight budgets who believe they are making smart choices by shopping at discount stores. They buy vegetables hoping to eat healthily, only to throw away half of what they purchased because it's spoiled before they could use it. The apparent savings evaporate, the waste accumulates. But here is the good news: there are better options. Real alternatives that deliver genuinely fresh produce without breaking your budget. And those alternatives are closer than you might think. Better. Option 1. Local greengrocers and street markets. There was a time not that long ago when buying vegetables meant visiting the greengrocer on the high street or the market stall in the town square. That world has not disappeared. It has simply been overshadowed by supermarket convenience. But for anyone serious about fresh produce, local greengrocers and street markets remain the superior choice. The fundamental advantage is the supply chain, or rather, the lack of one. Where supermarkets route vegetables through centralized distribution hubs, regional warehouses, and lengthy transport networks, local greengrocers often source directly from nearby farms and wholesale markets. The produce arrives in smaller batches, is handled less, and reaches you closer to the day it was harvested. That difference translates directly into freshness you can see, smell and taste. Visit a traditional greengrocer, and the contrast is immediately apparent. The tomatoes are ripe, not rock hard. The avocados yield to gentle pressure. The lettuce looks alive, not exhausted. The carrots have actual colour and crunch. This is not marketing. This is what vegetables are supposed to be like before industrial supply chains drain the life out of them. Street markets offer similar advantages. The produce is typically sourced fresh that morning from wholesale markets where vendors hand-select the best available stock. Turnover is rapid because everything needs to sell before the market closes. There is no week-long shelf life to rely on, which means vendors only stock what they can move quickly. The result is vegetables that have not been sitting in warehouses or clinging to supermarket shelves for days on end. Price is another factor that surprises many people. Greengrocers and market stalls are often cheaper than supermarkets, not more expensive, without the overheads of massive retail operations, without the layers of corporate infrastructure, without the elaborate distribution networks. Local sellers can offer better produce at lower prices. Multiple consumer surveys confirm that pound for pound, market produce frequently outperforms supermarket equivalents on both quality and value. There are secondary benefits too. Less packaging means less waste. Buying loose produce means purchasing exactly what you need, no more. The knowledge and expertise of traditional greengrocers can help you select the best items and store them properly. You are dealing with people who understand vegetables, not just retail logistics. And here is what matters most. Vegetables from greengrocers and markets last longer at home because they were fresher when you bought them. The days of usable life you get at home are not eaten up by days in the supply chain beforehand. What you buy on Saturday morning can still be perfectly good on Wednesday evening. That is the difference a shorter chain makes. The social dimension matters too. Greengrocers and market traders know their products. They can tell you where the potatoes came from, when the strawberries were picked, how to store the asparagus properly. They have a stake in your satisfaction because their business depends on repeat customers, not anonymous transactions. The vegetables you will find at these outlets are what vegetables are supposed to taste like. But if you want to take freshness even further, the next option removes the retail layer entirely. Better option 2, farm shops, veg boxes, and produce specialists. If local greengrocers and markets represent a return to traditional retail, farm shops and veg box subscriptions represent something even more direct, a relationship with the people who actually grow your food. This is where the shift from price shopping to freshness shopping becomes most powerful. Farm shops operate on a simple principle. The produce is grown on site or sourced from neighbouring farms, then sold to customers without the extended supply chains that drain freshness from supermarket vegetables. The gap between harvest and purchase shrinks from days to hours. Seasonality is embraced rather than ignored. What you buy reflects what is actually growing in British soil at that moment, not what can be shipped halfway around the world and kept artificially stable in controlled atmosphere storage. The difference in flavour is immediately noticeable. Tomatoes that taste like tomatoes. Carrots with genuine sweetness. Potatoes that hold their texture when cooked. Greens that are actually green, not yellowing at the edges. This is not premium pricing for premium branding. This is food that has not been compromised by logistics. Veg box subscriptions extend this model to home delivery. Companies like Riverford, Able and Cole and dozens of smaller regional schemes deliver seasonal organic produce directly to your door. The vegetables are picked, packed and dispatched within days, arriving fresher than anything you could find in a supermarket. Many schemes operate on a cooperative model, paying farmers fairly and building long-term relationships that prioritise quality over volume. The veggie box approach also reduces food waste. Boxes are sized to match household needs. Produce arrives without excessive packaging, and seasonal variety encourages cooking with what is fresh rather than forcing the same ingredients year-round. Subscribers report eating more vegetables, trying new recipes and throwing away less food. Produce specialists deserve mention too. Shops dedicated entirely to fresh fruit and vegetables, whether independent businesses or specialist sections of larger stores, bring expertise and focus that generalist supermarkets cannot match. Staff understand storage, ripeness, and selection. Stock is rotated properly. Quality control is taken seriously because reputation depends on it. The transition requires a small shift in mindset. Instead of defaulting to the nearest supermarket, you plan around availability. Instead of expecting identical produce 52 weeks a year, you embrace what the season offers. But the reward is vegetables that taste better, last longer, and actually nourish your body the way fresh produce should. Real food, grown properly, sold honestly, it still exists. You just have to know where to look. The choice is yours. You can continue buying vegetables from stores that prioritize their distribution systems over your dinner table, or you can make the small shift towards sources that prioritize freshness, flavor, and genuine quality. The vegetables are out there, waiting. Real produce, grown by real farmers, sold by people who actually care about what ends up on your plate. Because the British public deserves vegetables that actually taste like vegetables, not produce that has been shipped, stored, packaged, and displayed until all the life has drained out of it. Not bags of disappointment that wilt before the week is over. Start with one change. Visit one market. Try one veg box. Buy from one greengrocer. See the difference for yourself. And once you taste what fresh really means, you will never look at supermarket vegetables the same way again.